Talk to me at the National Rifle Association banquet because you had come here to tell us not to go to the Cascade Effect presentation at the high school. I believe that each and every one of us have the right to pick and go to any assembly that is peaceful and law-abiding. That assembly was peaceful and law-abiding. I saw that there were law enforcement people that went through the parking lot. I don't know whether they picked out vehicles to make sure that people in law enforcement knew that we had been there. But I did not believe that you should be telling us what we could or could not go to. When you talked to me at the National Rifle Association banquet, you stated that everyone that put that out are law enforcement haters and that they are liars. Can you explain how a person who is trying to just expose facts becomes a law enforcement hater or a liar? And you told me I shouldn't have anything to do with them. So please explain to me how you can do that.
Okay, first of all, I didn't in any way tell you you couldn't go to the lawful assembly. I didn't say that.
You said
I
that
stood
you
up,
did this and
I stood up here, I did, and I said there are some things in this that there's misinformation. That is not true, and I made everyone aware. I said, I'm aware that information is being passed out to you, and I encourage you to call me if you want to know the real story of it. And then I said, my phone number out loud here to everyone. And that's what I said. And my focus on my conversation with you when we met at the NRA thing is you always call me. Kathy, you always call me. And you
No,
ask
I don't.
me
I've called you like 3 or 4
Yeah.
times in my life.
when you have questions or concerns, you call me. And I said to you, I said, I don't understand where this is coming from because you can just call and talk to me and I'll give you whatever answer, that I have available to me. And that was the point of me having a conversation with you. Now, I never said anything about people not telling the truth.
Yes, you
Hold
did.
on, let me finish. In the context about what I stood and set up here. It was in the context of what was being recorded in the Cascade Effect. That was what that context was. It was not in the context about what I said up here. It was not. The context was about what was being stated in the Cascade Effect. That's exactly what the context was when I said that.
But I can also continue to speak with and talk to whoever I choose.
100%, I didn't say you couldn't. I said the things that they're saying is untrue, and I stated my opinion about that. My opinion. I also have a First Amendment right, and I'm also allowed to state my opinion. And I stated my opinion about it. And it was because we've talked before, and I can stand up for my organization, my people. I'm allowed to.
But everything in the audio of that does not seem to match what you guys were playing. And so because of that, there are questions. And because of that, yes, we take care of one another. But if we try to control what people can learn and find out.
I'm not trying to control that, but I can say that it's not a true narrative. And I can say that it's an anti-law enforcement sentiment. I can say that. I'm allowed. I'm allowed to stick up for my organization, and I'm allowed to stick up for my people if they did the right thing. I'm entitled to that right.
And the Bill of Rights says that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the Montana Code Annotated says that there needs to be a written warrant that person can see before they research. Is that it?
It did happen. It's sitting right here in front of me.
Now,
It did happen. And it's date and time stamped at 15:58 hours. And the shooting event occurred at 16:53 hours. There was.
Can I ask why then was it not able to be shown to the person?
He attempted to show it to him. Mike wouldn't follow his commands. He attempted, and it's recorded when he attempts. I'll show you the warrant, he says. It's on his cell phone. He says, the paper copy's coming, and he says, the warrant's on my phone, and he says, I'll show you the warrant. The warrant was on his phone. We proved that. And before that happened, he disobeyed his
How many
commands.
people did this
Detective
guy
Sergeant
and
Tri
Ricky
went to
lock up
detain
on
him.
that warrant stuff?
Is when he pulled a gun on Detective
lot.
Sergeant Tri.
Yeah.
So he has a warrant. Now the next question, I already know it's coming, so I'll just answer it. Why was it in a paper copy? Is that next question? Let's get it over with. 46-5-227. We're required to have a duplicate copy. An electronic copy qualifies as a duplicate. Detective Sergeant Tri had a search warrant, was there lawfully, and he can't lawfully detain Mike Handson if he doesn't follow his commands.
So what
No, he
kind
can't.
of a cell phone do you guys
He didn't show
use?
it.
Yeah,
that you could
and it
show
wasn't the
that
warrant for him.
While you were also recording, because the phones
Because the
that I
person with
have,
the warrant has to be there.
don't
Yeah.
have the capacity to show that.
You can do it. You can. It's an iPhone. No, you can.
He's lying.
Yeah.
There are people who wish that you would have taken that instance and gone through it much more slowly than the person's done.
Oh, can I address that?
He's nervous.
I don't investigate my deputies involved shootings. That's inappropriate. So that is investigated by our Attorney General, Austin Knudsen, and the DOJ. That's who we, hold on, I'm going to finish my statement, please. That is investigated by them. We call it an outside agency. Furthermore,
He's the chair of post.
I called in the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office.
He's the one that investigates a lot of stuff.
Because I don't want any conflicts whatsoever. That case is investigated by the Montana DOJ, and whatever the findings in the DOJ's findings of that is what we go off of.
The
not the
question
United
I was
States, though.
going to ask was, speaking about the investigation of purchased cat food and cat litter, could not authorization to go check on that have been done after all the paperwork was done? I don't see it to be a high intensity situation. It was a child abduction, or somebody had been murdered, or it was a bank robbery, or this kind of thing. And I think if that would have been taken into consideration, I think we would have been personally proven.
Well, we can address that because the paperwork was done. The paperwork absolutely was done. I just told you 55 minutes before this occurred, it was done.
He only,
Okay. There's another detective printing it off and bringing it in. When Mike Handson comes in contact with Detective Sergeant Tri. Mike Handson came in contact. We can only assume this, but there was a phone call between Pam Poliuski and Mike Handson right before that occurred. She knew she was under investigation. And then he walked out and talked to Detective Sergeant Tri. Detective Sergeant Tri said, hey, I need you to get the property. We're about to execute a warrant. He follows command. So they did have the paperwork. And the thing I want you to understand is this too. Detective Sergeant Tri didn't escalate the situation. He entered the property to detain him. Okay? That's all he was gonna do, is detain him, and then when the team got there, they're gonna execute the warrant. He pulled a gun on Detective Sergeant Tri. That's what the investigation
wow,
says.
what a liar.
Detective Sergeant Tri has a right to self-defense.
So what is your protocol when you're going to do an investigation when you've had a search warrant? Do you not normally have two officers work together?
That's a great question, Kathy. I appreciate that. That's a really good one, right? So, while we were obtaining the warrant, Detective Sergeant Tri was watching the property. We're watching to see if anybody is removing animals from the property, removing any evidence from the property, while we're waiting for everyone else to come. They were on their way.
Well, he could have sat there and waited.
Mike Handson
Yes.
walks right up to him at the fence. He's sitting
Yeah.
right there in his car. He's not far away from the fence. So he gets out and contacts him.
It's because they get a lot of funding.
It is well within the law.
The day they killed Charlie Kirk on September 10th is when they were in there getting funding. And they were using Vanna Pepe and her daughter, Artie Pepe. And look at, they put Sergeant Try on the Missing and Murdered Indigenous task force. So, but if you want to get away with murder, I guess sign up with Jesse Slaughter and Racky.
He was just going to detain him. And as far as a deputy being alone, well then, we better not have any law enforcement in Cascade County. Because almost all my deputies operated.
Now he's playing the Jasmine Taylor move. Did you know he's Jasmine Taylor, Agent Jawwork? When he was a Democrat and him and Racky, they're the ones behind the whole transgender stuff. And his dad, Bill Slaughter, was a child porn. That's why he's on crimes against children. It's because his dad, Bill Slaughter, with that child porn scandal. And now him and Christy Slaughter's wife are covering it up this whole time. That's why he's on post as a chairman. So if he controls the narrative and the documents and everything, and they use all these people to go after charges and everything.